Hello there, welcome to Genesis Models. My name is Bob Ward, and in this video we are going to be having an inbox review of this absolutely lovely kit just here. It is the F-16I Sufa. That's the Israeli Air Force. It is 1/48 scale and it is by Kinetic model kits. A little bit of an old kit, in all honesty. It's about 2009 when this was released. I haven't actually looked inside this, so this will be my first time looking at it with you. So as you can see, we've got a lot of plastic in here. It is quite deep. Let's have a look at the decals. They are on top, so let's just jump straight in with these. If we look at them, they are looking the writing is rather small. You can sort of almost look like, you know, it's almost readable, but I suppose with a magnifying glass it'd be a bit blurry. But yeah, looking really good, nicely in registry, quite glossy. This sheet here looks like it's just all the weapons, because normally with Kinetic kits you get a load of weapons. We do have this, what looks like a bit of photo etch. As I say, I haven't actually really looked at this, but let's just open this up, and it's like a nice little goodie bag of some delicate bits. Maybe let's get our blade out, cut right across this. I think I'm seeing some like instrument display panel stuff, and I've really sort of wrapped this up. So we have what looks like a dinky little bit of photo etch just in here. The detail on the photo etch is looking rather good, but I mean, that is pretty sort of dinky. Potentially, as they sometimes do, it's a little bit of a gimmick. They go off and they go, hey, we've got photo etch in this kit, but yeah, that's not exactly a lot of photo etch. What is cool though, we do get this sort of probe just here nicely, and probably brass or something. These things do look cool because they are quite nice and thin and realistically looking, so that is quite a nice touch, that bit there. Let's get out, I'm not going to get out all the bags because, you know, it is a big kit, but we're going to have a little look at some surface detail with this. Let's just pop this off. Looking at some surface detail straight away, what I can see is we do have recessed rivets, recessed panel lines. Right, there is quite a lot of detail going on. Let's just see if we can rotate this in the light, and you can just see, you know, nice bit of detail going on just there. Maybe not so consistent. I am sort of feeling that, you know, we've got some recessed panel lines that are quite sort of nice, but then some sort of do fade a little bit, so maybe not so consistent. I am sort of feeling here this is a bit sort of shallower than the rest, but we'll move along and see if we've got any more like that. We've got these, I do believe these are like the extra sort of fuel tanks that you kind of glue on the side. Same sort of level of detail. We do have the top parts of our fuselage just here, so we get to see some more detail. Loads and loads of rivet detail on there, so that's going to look really sort of cool once it's had a wash. Right, the plastic does feel just nice and smooth, right, nice and consistent in that way. But yeah, looking rather cool. We do have our nose section just here, which is looking rather good. A few little pieces just in here. I'm not really going to go over loads of it, but it does look like we've got a nice set of sort of probes or whatever, sort of like guidance systems and stuff that they add on to pylons. Oh, let's have a look at our, what looks like to be our engines just here, which comes in what looks like 5 pieces just here, but there is a load of nice detail on these engines just here. You can sort of see that on the inside, there's detail on the inside as well, so engines are looking rather cool. Our air intake area, looking at this, it's strangely enough, that detail looks a lot crisper than what we saw with like the fuselage and the wing section that I just shown you. It looks so much more crisper. The recess panel lines do seem to be sort of deeper and very much more crisper actually. If the rest of the kit actually looked like that, that would be amazing. So not very consistent on the detail areas. Alright, but then, you know, it is about 10 years old. What else have we got in here? We've got a little bag which just has a whole bunch of clear parts, not the canopy parts, so we won't bother with them. Here is our canopy section. We do have a seam line that does run down the middle, so that needs to be like sanded back and then polished back up, but I'm not seeing any major scratches or cracks or any nasty stuff like that, so looking good. It was just floating around in the box on its own, not covered up, so you know, potential for damage just there. Just sorting through these sprues here. As I said, I don't want to get them all out. We've got wheel hubs in that one. We do have, we do have, I mean, we'll probably have to check out the instructions on this one, but we've got like almost like a second engine exhaust and intakes. Again, we've got our intakes just here, which is kind of strange because we have this set of intakes which, you know, actually look like the rest of the kit, but then this set of intakes is all very nice and crisp and looking really sort of nicely detailed. So maybe this is a bit of a new tool, new part that was added for a different variant or something, but there is definitely a noticeable difference there. We do have our engine exhaust here, which I'm kind of assuming we might be sort of dealing with, like, this kit has evolved over the years. It's had new sprues added to it, and you can sort of clearly see how Kinetic kits has evolved over the years and got better with all their surface detail and stuff, because we're seeing old and new here. I'm guessing, but it definitely looks that way. Inside the actual exhaust area, we've got fans and a bit more sort of internal detail on the engine bay just there. Hopefully you can just see that bit of detail, but still looking good, but not consistent. We've got some more, we've got like the cockpit area now coming up. I can just open this up for you, and just inside here we have the front part of the fuselage section. Again, same level of surface detail. I mean, it is good, but yeah, again, I'm sort of seeing some sort of flat faded areas with the surface detail. So it is kind of going to be one of these kits you might just want to go over and just a little bit of a rescribe. We're not talking rescribing the whole model, just, you know, in areas it looks a bit flat, just give it a little bit of rescribe, which isn't that hard really. I mean, if you're completely sort of scribing something, you know, it does get a bit tricky, but when you've already got a guide there, you've already got like a recessed panel line that's slightly faded, it is easy to get the P cutter to go down a faded panel. You're not really going to slip because you've already got some detail there to follow, but yeah, it should be all right. Then we've got all sorts of buttons and dials to go inside our actual tub just here. Looking good, looking well sort of detailed in there. We've got our tub just here. There isn't any detail on here because, as you've just seen, these are going to like be sticking inside here, and you build it up as you go along. Moving along, I want to sort of speed things up. Have we got anything sort of interesting on here? I mean, really, it's just fuel tanks and maybe some, oh, I suppose we've got some actual wheel well sort of detail just in there. You could sort of see that, but we'll check the instructions out. One cool thing I do like about Kinetic kits, they do not get shy when it comes to stuff like weapons. We do have these two lovely bags which are basically look like This looks like a duplicate sprue here, so we've got a nice big fuel tank just here, free fall bombs, probably something like Mavericks just here, and so you're going to have a nice couple of beefy weapons just on there, and then this bag just here kind of gives you a whole bunch more weapons. Let's maybe take a quick closer look on this one. Are they exactly the same? Oh yeah, they are. Two sprues exactly the same, so we end up with stuff like sidewinders and looks like sparrows, some more sort of free fall bombs and GBUs, all that kind of cool stuff, and you know, the details looking rather sort of nice on there. So a nice bunch of weapons to beef this up, should be rather nicely. Then we have another set of decals in here, and then this is going to be the marking decals, not the weapons decals. These are printed by Kinetic model kits. Oh no, they're not. Ah, there we go, Cartograph. These ones are printed by Cartograph, made in Italy. Really good decals. We know they're going to be good with micro solid set. I do love Cartograph. They are rather good, and all the decals, they look nicely colourful, nicely in registry. The writing does kind of look readable, even like the small print, but you know, get out a magnifying glass, it might be a different story, but they are looking quite cool. So then we come to our instructions. So with our instructions, we do get our hands on a very sort of basic A4 plain piece of paper, which shows you know, the markings, where the decals go, colour scheme, and all that kind of cool stuff. Could have been a lot better, a bit better quality there, but hey ho. The instructions, again, it does look like we are in black and white. Yeah, not the best of quality, but we do have a nice little write-up description here. Maybe bring you in a little bit closer as well. Nice write-up description just here, talking about it, as well as some colour call-outs also. Moving along, let's take a look at these instructions. Well, we're going to start off with the cockpit area. As you can see, it's just sticking all those panels on. Looks quite cool, looks quite easy to sort of follow. Same with what's the air intake stroke, the wheel wells just there, and showing it going on nice and easy. This part here, I think, you know, where you sort of get the two parts forward and back of the fuselage section, it's just going to come on like that. You might have sort of like a bit of an iffy area, a join line to sort out just there, but you know, take your time, make sure it fits before you glue it, and you should hopefully sort of get there okay. I have sort of heard that these kits, they're nice. I mean, around about 40 quid ish, sort of, give or take a bit. You do get a lot of weapons, a lot of plastic for your money, but the fit maybe isn't the best. You're going to have the odd little thing here. It's not a perfect fit, not a bad fit. I'm not saying it's a bad fit, it's just, you know, you're gonna have a few areas where you need to sort of work on certain areas. We got our whole air intake area here, still looking quite easy to follow. Air brakes, we can have them what looks like to be open or closed, so nice couple of options there. Obviously landing gear up or down, loads and loads of detail on them. Looks like they are actually warning you to be careful just here, because there is these little I think they're little probe things that stick out the back there, and they can be easily broken, but you know, we should probably know that anyway. But you've also got ailerons and flaps and stuff, they can be in different positions, so that's quite cool as well. Moving along, we have ejector seats go in, canopy open or closed, still looks quite easy to sort of follow. I know these tanks just here, right? Let's bring you in a bit closer. These tanks here that go on the side, they're probably going to need when you glue them down, there's probably going to be gaps around there, so that's going to probably take a bit of filler. but you know, still looks good. Then we have our weapons and pylons, followed by, we then have our painting and decal placements for all our weapons just here, which actually does label what you get. You got GBU 24s, GBU 38s, you get CBU 87s, GBU 31s, GBU 12s, Mark 82s. You got the AIM 9X, AIM 9M, AIM 120Bs. Then there's all these sensors, the ANAAQ13 or the ANAAQ14. You've got the 370 gallon tank or the 300 gallon fuel tank as well. So those are a whole bunch of weapons in there, and then it sort of shows you where all these weapons can be placed. So all good. I think all in all, the kit isn't going to be a beginner's kit. There's going to be little challenges here and there putting it together, but it's not terrible. And you know, the surface detail, it isn't consistent. I mean, those recessed panel lines, you know, some of them look really crisp, some of them look really good, and then some of them start to fade. So maybe a little bit of scribing here and there, maybe, if you want to go that far. But apart from that, it does look like you get a lot of detail, nice couple of decals, canopy looks good. You get loads and loads of weapons. The added little pitot tube as well is a really sort of nice added extra. Tiny bit of photo etch, which is probably more the gimmick than anything else. The instructions, not best quality paper, but they do look like they're going to get you there in the end. So all in all, it's definitely a big thumbs up, and personally I do like the Israeli camo scheme. There's just something about the Israeli camo scheme that just looks really cool. That free pattern camo scheme, very cool stuff indeed. So yeah, big thumbs up to Kinetic model kits, 1/48 scale. What was it again? An F-16I Sufa. So hopefully you've enjoyed the this inbox review here. So until next time, my name's Bobby Waldron, and I'll catch you later.